Try.
So we ended here. Let's study. Let me get. Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning.
So yesterday we ended with the snapshot debugging, where we did not go through the practical bit. I tried to go through it yesterday evening on frame. It wasn't coming out. Frame, though my coach told me has tried it on the cloud and it has worked. So he had shared the production. Although we cannot try it.
I'll demonstrate it later.
Okay.
Let's take us to what we plan for today.
Okay. So still, these are connected to snapshot debugging, where you record the execution. The server waits for the connection to happen, where the following rules apply. So if a session ID, this is what you add in the launch.json, is specified for user ID for a given tenant, then it's that session that the snapshot debugged. And if only a user ID is specified for a given tenant, then the next session that is specified on the break on next configuration parameter in the snapshot is debugged. So remember we talked about break on next configuration parameter, which has the web service. It has the web client, and it also has the background, where the web service, just go back very fast here. They are here. Web service client, the web client, and then the background. So we had said that the web client is maybe the web itself. Then the web service client, the web services, maybe you're connecting through the APIs, you're going through the web services in Business Central. You're connecting the external applications. And then also, so this is what they're talking about here. That if only a user ID is specified for a given tenant, then the next session that is specified in the break on next configuration in the snapshot is the one that is debugged, because you have not specified the session ID. So only the user, so it will look for what is there. If it is the web, it will go for that. The web service, then it will pick up that. Then if no user ID is specified, then the next session on a given tenant that validates the break on next parameter will be snapshot debugged. So in this case, you have not specified the user ID and session ID. Then the next session, because snapshot, it just like Mark will show you, it shows you the sessions that are available for you to debug as in VS Code. So the sessions it will show you will be, in case you've not specified this in the launch.json user ID, then the next session that will show you in the VS Code will be the break on next, will be the on a given tenant that validates the break on next parameter will be snapshot debug. So they will show you the session that is available based on your configurations in the launch.json. So once a snapshot debugging session is initialized, the snapshot debugging session counter on the status bar will be updated, and it will look like this. So this is what they showed, and we shall see it. So status of a snapshot debugging session. So clicking on the status bar icon, or actually to start a snapshot debugging, we shall see it is you press F7 alone without the shift. F7. If you press F7, then you initialize snapshot debugging in VS Code. But now here, if you want to see the status of a snapshot debugging session, so when you click on the status bar icon, or if you press the shift plus F7, it will bring up a list of all available snapshots to give you this the snapshots available. Then the status list shows the state of a snapshot debugged session. A snapshot debugging session can be in one of these statuses. It can be initialized. Initialized is when you've started it. You click the F7 to start it. Or started. You've attached to an attached. You have attached, meaning you have attached to an end user session to snapshot debug. Now you have attached already, and you've started debugging. Then finished is when it has gone through the process and you're done, maybe whatever you're doing, or the client has, because remember what we say with snapshot debugging is that the client has got an error and it is very urgent. So you've connected the snapshot, you've started snapshot debugging, then the client maybe has gone through whatever error they were doing. Then you go on to stop it. You stop it. When you stop, then the status changes to finish, and then it will be ready for download. So now it goes to another state called downloaded. So this is when okay, when you finish, then it will be ready for downloading. Then there will be a link for you to download. So you download it, then it will change the status to downloaded. So when the snapshot file is downloaded, changes its status to this. Okay. So finishing a snapshot debugging session. So we said starting it is F7, checking for available sessions, snapshot sessions is Shift plus F7, then finishing or stopping a snapshot debugging session is Alt plus F7. So this now stops. It brings all the snapshot sessions that have been started to an end, and at that point, they will be ready for download. They are saying the snapshot file can contain customer privacy data and must therefore be handled according to privacy compliance and should be deleted when it isn't needed anymore. So snapshot debugging sessions that have produced a snapshot file can be debugged. As you shall see, the location of a snapshot file is controlled by the AL, this snapshot output path configuration parameter. So by default, it's local to the client, to the current workspace, and it's called snapshots in the VS Code. So now downloading maybe what I maybe is not here. When you're going to start, the person who's going to start a snapshot debugging must have some permission. It's called the D365 snapshot. So we shall see it there. You add it even on-prem. It is there. You can D365 snapshot. It is some kind of permission. If you don't have it, you will not be able to do this snapshot debugging. So we have this download. If you are now going to downloading symbols on the snapshot debugger endpoint, So in order to download the symbols to the production server, you need permission-related entries. Be a dedicated admin. So this one wasn't explained. Maybe it is like you have super permission, something like that. However, this next one is the permission now for download, which you need for download. The one for starting initializing debugging is this 365 snapshot. Now they are saying the read-only access to the published application table emphasized in the 365 extension management permission set should also be granted. The read-only. Oh, so if you go to permission sets, there permission sets for this permission, the 365 extension management, the read-only access to the published application table is emphasized. So it should be set, should be granted. If it's not granted, then you cannot do the download. So symbols downloaded, symbols download using the snapshot initialize debug configuration settings in Visual Studio Code, which is set up when you choose either initialize a snapshot debugging session locally. No, this one we this one is the beginning actually. When you're going to start a snapshot, when you're going to start a snapshot debugging, you go to the launch.json, then you type this. If you are in the local, the initialize snapshot debugging session locally, or initialize snapshot debugging session on the cloud, and if you click, it will give you the configurations that enable you to debug, to create a snapshot. So as debugging a snapshot file. So there are two user actions that start snapshot debugging. Creating a new launch debug configuration and specifying snapshot file name configuration. This is the only setting that is needed besides the type request and name. That one I've shown here. We have seen here. Already done. Or clicking on the status icon by pressing Shift plus F7 and selecting a finished snapshot debugged session. Once a snapshot debugging session starts in Visual Studio Code, code execution stops at the first snap point. In case you have set the snap points, set snap points are like breakpoints. In case you have they're saying once a snapshot debugging session in Visual Studio Code, code execution stops at the first snapshot. Exceptions are treated as snap points. The only difference that they can't be removed by the user actions. Other snap points are regular breakpoints that can be removed or added by user actions. If no snap points are specified, the first recorded methods, the first line is the entry breakpoint. That one is. So no, not understood, given that I also not understood that one. I need that one have understood. That was it.
Morning, guys. Okay. I'm going to help Kim on some of these things. And I'm just doing it for only this presentation. The purpose is mainly to spice it up to ensure that we don't get bored and give up. This morning, I had the chance to just read through this presentation and understand exactly what's going on. And based on what I read, I found out that these are really basic things. So I'm going to first forget the presentation, and I just spare like 5 minutes. I take you through the practical part of this, and you also tell me whether these are really basic or they are difficult. So I managed to set up an environment. Those who would like to have access to it for purposes of testing is a playground that I can give you access, and then you can also play with it. Now with this environment, one of the first things that came as mentioned is that you must have the permission set. Who remembers the name of the permission set? Okay, that permission set is called, I've already assigned it to myself. So even if you have super, you must have another permission set code. Can you remind us?
F365 snapshot.
Yeah. Where is it? Sagina. Okay. The permission set is if I type snap, is this the D365 snapshot? I remember assigning this to myself. Okay. All right, you can see now I have this permission set. Without this permission set, you cannot do the snapshot debugging. One thing I have to remind you is that, as Kim mentioned yesterday or the other day, in most cases, the client might get an issue in production. And if you look at the time it will take you to make a sandbox and replicate, because we can only do actual debugging in the sandbox. So that time may not be available. It could be an urgent issue. So what Microsoft did is they enabled snapshot debugging. Snapshot debugging is you are actually debugging. By this time, instead of debugging in a sandbox environment, you are actually debugging in production, and that's what we are going to do. So one of the first key things is having this permission set called snapshot debug. Now I'll open VS Code. I just created a sample project here. It is just a basic project. It is called Hello World. We can add some code here. I've taken long without coding, by the way. So you will guide me. I want to declare a variable for customer. Yeah? Is it like this? Why do I declare? Auntie, say I don't even remember. So I have to declare down here. So I want to get, let me get which customer here. Let me just hard code the number for testing purposes. We have customer 10,000. Yeah. I can get customer. I can get the first customer. How do I get the first customer? I'm focusing on something different. Okay, so let me just say customer.find first is that, and then I will print my customer here. So I'll set this as a breakpoint, okay, by clicking that. So I've set 3 breakpoints just to keep things basic. And after that, we now start the initialize. We have to initialize the debug session. So let me just clear this, and I show you, because as a default, you only have something like that. Why is it showing an error? Okay. Okay. So you have this. So when you try to initialize snapshot debugging here, there are some configurations that you must set. So if those configurations are not set, the system will automatically tell you there are no configurations for the debug configuration type snapshot is initialized. So here you can automatically generate, and you can choose, is it on-prem, your own server, or you are going to the cloud sandbox. So I click that, and now you can see it has generated. So Kim already mentioned this. I won't go through those properties, but now I can see I've generated my what? My configurations. Okay, and you can see I'm targeting production. Now, after generating the configuration, I can start again to initialize the snapshot. So if I click initialize snapshot, it will now initialize, what is it telling me? The snapshot initial request for debugging that has succeeded. So it has succeeded here. And now I can go to my production environment. Okay. So the moment I start transacting or clicking anywhere, let me just try to refresh this. The moment I start doing anything on this production environment, my VS Code is recording all these actions. So as you can see that message, it is telling me that a snapshot debugging session with ID this has been started. Any code that runs in this window of Business Central will now be monitored. Your screen, however, is not being recorded. To end the snapshot debugging session and return to Business Central, close this window and reopen Business Central. So Kim has already mentioned all this, that these sessions are, the debugging sessions are targeting one particular session, okay? Targeting one particular session ID. And so whatever I'm doing here, for example, if I go to my home page, this has been recorded. If I click on customers, this is being recorded. If I click on this is being recorded, and so on. So assuming that the client was getting an error at a given point, you try to do that process until you get that error, okay? All those will be recorded on production. Now, after that, you go back to your VS Code, and now you stop the debugging session. So to stop, I'll press Ctrl-Shift-P, and I type finish. You see that? I now finish. Finish snap. Or out F7, okay? And Kim also talked about this, that you can still press out F7 to stop that. So if you finish this, you can see that it is bringing the session ID. Remember, you can have this debug session for multiple sessions. So when you try to finish, it will prompt you to select which session you want to finish. So for now, I have only one session, and I'll click this finish. So it has finished. So when it finishes, it will generate for me a file here, okay? This first one is what it generated when I was trying it out. Now, this second one is what it has generated right now. Now, if you go back to Kimi's presentation, he mentioned that there is a way of viewing this snapshot. Do you remember that? It is on the status bar. If I just take you back to this, there's some where I highlighted that once a snapshot debugging session is initialized, the snapshot debugging session counter on the status bar will look like this. So we have to go to the status bar and we see that snapshot. So if you look here at, I don't know whether you can see that figure down. It is in orange. There is a 2 there, okay? Yeah, bottom left. So if I click on that 2, now what VS Code did, it recorded my session, my debugging process, and now it has stopped. Now, if I click here, It is showing 2 because at first there's the one I did when I was trying this out. I think it is one that I did at 7:32. I think you can see the time. And now there's this one that I've just completed at 8:06. So those are the 2 sessions, the 2 debug sessions that I have. Now, if I click on this one that I've just completed, what the system is doing, if you look down here, it has started the debugging session. But remember, I'm no longer on production. It recorded what happened on production. Now I'm playing to see exactly what's taking place. If you remember, I went to the company. So I think the first trigger was on open company. Now I don't remember how to traverse through these debugging things. Maybe here you'll guide me. Where do I click to go next? Okay, maybe it is still loading. But from here, if I go to this option of debugging, I'll be in position to see any local variables that are attached to that. How do I move to next? I'm looking for that thing.
Is that?
Oh, okay, it was hidden, yeah? Let me just move this down. Hey, okay. So, you see now I have my step over. I have this step into. So if I click step over, it is taking me now in this on company open. It has disappeared now. Okay. But down here, you can see the different breakpoints that I have. I can even click on them. All the breakpoints I set. As I click on them, I can even hover. I can see the customer. I can see the variables. Okay, I don't have any variables here. Okay, I don't think I was passing any values here, but if I was passing values, I'll be in position to see all those, all the breakpoints that I had in the code and other things. So this ideally shows us how to debug in production. I hope that now gives us more light to what Kim was presenting. I see we are left with only 2 minutes, but what I need to emphasize is that when you read through that documentation, please take time and practice, because when you practice and you show us the practical part, things become much, much easier and much is understandable to the team. We can always go back to the documentation and read in case we need more details. So Kim, I know your computer is not working. So I'm going to first give you a break on Friday. Joseph, I've interacted with you, and Gilbert. The reason why I interacted with Joseph, Gilbert is not very reliable. I don't know whether he'll be here at 7:30. So as a backup plan, I told Joseph to also prepare. So yes, I know Gilbert is in the meeting, and if I'm telling lies, he's free to speak up and say, Magova, I'll prove you wrong. I'll be here at 7:30. So given that he's not very reliable, and I don't want us to lose time, I told Joseph to prepare. So in case Gilbert is not here at 7:30, Joseph will carry it on, and we ensure that we don't lose that time. But the key thing is we are preparing for the develop exam. Please have VS Code open to practically show us these things alongside with your slides. So that's it for today. I believe we've managed to see the picture of how we should be presenting. Let's all strive to that. And I wish you a great day ahead. Bye-bye.